taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. All right, so I just wanted to start by saying what a gift it's been for me personally all season long, having made a new friend in Terry Bowden. I just think the guy is just a fantastic person and a legendary coach, obviously, but I had so much fun talking college football with this guy every single week throughout the college football season. I just want him to know how much I care about him and how much I enjoy him. I loved him on the show. I thought he was fantastic. And it really means a lot to me that he spent the entire season with us because I made a new friend. And I think very highly of you, Coach. And I've really found it a special time for me every week to be able to have you on the show. And it means a lot to me. And I just thank you very much. I think you're a terrific person.
Well, I do appreciate that. And it's always great to talk college football and not just NFL, but college football, which we've enjoyed doing. And it's come down to a pretty good game between two historic teams from a national college football perspective. These teams are about as historic as they come.
I got to tell you, as you know, I'm going big onions tonight. I'm taking Notre Dame to win the game outright. They're getting 9, but I think they can win the game. I believed in the Commanders that they could win.
Right.
On Friday, I said they would win. I said they would play the Eagles in the NFC title game. Both of those things came to fruition. I think Notre Dame can win this game, despite the fact that, frankly, no one on the face of the earth thinks they have a shot. And you know, I said to my son today, Coach, I said, if they have no shot, why isn't the spread 16 or 18 points?
Right.
Because they get talked about like they're dog food, Notre Dame.
Let me tell you what Notre Dame's got. It's not analytical. You can't statistically look at it. They have chemistry. After they lost to Northern Illinois, and I watched that coach react to his players and the players react to him, they've had something special. Very few times do you get that. They've got a team that finds a way to win. Now, I've got them covered, and I've got them with the points. I haven't gone as far as you have, but it wouldn't shock me because of the chemistry they have, the rapport they have, and the fact that they find a way to win. They've got a quarterback that he knows how to win. If they need 3 yards, he gets 3 yards for a first down. He knows when to tuck it and get the first down. He won't kill you with his passing yardage. He won't kill you with his total rushing yardage. Every yard he makes, though, will be valuable. So I can see where Notre Dame has a way to win the football game. I just can't pull away from the talent. Turnovers, big plays will be a factor. They've got to get a couple of things like that. Both defenses are so good, you can't expect an over, I don't think, in this game. Because we're talking about the number 1 scoring defense and the number 2 scoring defense. And then we're talking about Notre Dame's got the number 1 pass defense in the country. So I don't see a lot of scoring. But I do see Notre Dame having a chance to pull it off just because what they've done with their season.
Coach, I saw Michigan punch Ohio State in the Adam's apple with a sucker haymaker and beat them in Columbus. I saw Texas sit at the 1-yard line with 1st and goal in a tie game, blow the game with bad play calling by Sarkisian and his OC, without a doubt, going sideways, pitching the ball back and running sideways. I thought they blew the game. So I've seen Ohio State in trouble twice. I never thought they were in trouble against Oregon in Eugene. I thought they blew the game with bad clock management by Howard. But I have seen them make mistakes and get beat. So why am I to think that they're so awesome and that literally everyone in the country that matters, that does TV nationally or otherwise, I mean, is there a soul on the side of the earth that isn't picking Ohio State to run away with this game? I don't understand it. You would think that Ohio State was playing the Little Sisters of the Poor.
Now, I mean, that's what you look at scoring defense is probably the most important stat that you can have with a football team. And they're both at the very top which means the game's got a great chance to be close. And turn the ball, don't turn it over, don't give up a big play. And let me go back to that. Their coach has a special rapport. It's almost like he's so young, he's naive. He doesn't stand on the sideline like he's fearful everything bad's going to happen. I think the players respond to him that way. And that's why I don't think you can be shocked if Notre Dame does go out there and play and win the football game. I still go with, talent being the most important thing there is. My dad used to say, I can win a championship if I have great leadership and I don't have injuries. It's the one thing Notre Dame has not been able to control. They've lost about 5 key players. That's why I'm saying their strength is their synergy, their chemistry, that the way they pull together and believe they can win. Something happened at Northern Illinois to Notre Dame that has changed the way they are. And by the time I watched the way they thumped Georgia, now Georgia's not as good as they were in their championship years, but that game wasn't close, And a lot of people are picking Georgia to be in this championship game. So I think I think you got plenty of argument. I still think if you look at most of the people and reason the lines out there, you've got Ohio State still with more talent in almost every position, from wide receiver to running back to defense, and you've got to go with an intangible, that gut feeling, that visceral feeling, not cerebral, but the visceral feeling. These son of a guns are going to find a way to win. So, I understand what you're saying.
I don't agree that their defense is better. I think their defense is more NFL physical in terms of their hitting. They are so fast, and the way they hit reminds me of NFL hitting on the outside, the edges, the corners, the safeties. They hit like they're in the NFL. But I think Notre Dame's defense is every bit as good as Ohio State, without question. Now, let me ask you this. So you go into the locker room, and you've got a team that's 11-1 that has won every game since the Northern Illinois game. You're playing for a national championship. No one thinks you can win the game. What do you say to them before this game as they go out on the field? Because I believe that they believe. I believe that the Irish believe that they're going out tonight to win. If you're not going out to win, then why even make the trip at all?
Yeah. Well, and I think the defensively, you hit that point. There is no difference between these two defenses in the way they played all year, and that evens things up. But if I'm the head coach and I look at them and I said, men, let's just go do what we've been doing the last 11 weeks. You know as well as I know, you can beat this football team, not by something magical, not by something happen out of the ordinary. Go out and play your game. Go after, kick their ass, play your game, and you can go out there and win this guy. I think you talk with complete confidence, like everybody there knows exactly what they're capable of doing.
Do you think Riley Leonard will screw this game up?
No, I think he's one of the reasons they win. He won't throw for a lot, and he's not fast enough to run for a lot of yardage. But as I've seen 2 or 3 games that I've studied him, if he needs 3 yards to get a first down, he'll get 3.5. If he needs to scramble on second down instead of waiting for a second receiver to get open, he'll get it down to a 3rd and 1 and 2. He makes great decisions, and I think it's his decision making. And I'm not talking about NFL talent or the strongest arm or the fastest legs. He's got it. Whatever it is, he's got it. He'll make the plays to keep their drives going, make first downs. And to me, he's always in control of himself and what he needs to do on every play.
Do you think they should have played this game on Friday night and not on Monday night, so long since they played the Thursday and Friday semis?
Well, you know what? It is what it is. Now, I think both coaches would agree with you. You don't want to sit around after getting here. You don't want to sit around as long as they've sat around because so many things can happen. And also, you just lose that. Both of them are coming off big wins, a couple of big wins. And you sit and things can happen. You can lose that momentum. You can lose that feeling. And so, no, I wish they would have played it on Friday. But the fact is, whatever affects one team has all the opportunity to affect the other team.
Coach, I certainly pray to God that I get to do this again with you next year during the college football season. I can't thank you enough. I've had a blast. I think the world of you. I'd love to do it with you again. You're the best. Enjoy the game tonight and have a fantastic, happy, and healthy 25, my pal.
Thank you, man. Anytime now. Look.
Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by Game Time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Here we go again, talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Get used to it.
Get used to it, indeed. A couple of just other notes before I give you the numbers for Sunday's game. Reed, fourth coach in NFL history to reach 300 career wins. That's both regular season and postseason. The Texans were the first team in postseason history to outgain an opponent by 100 yards, have 0 turnovers, and still lose. First team ever to pull that off. The Houston Texans on Saturday at Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes now tied for the second most playoff wins by a quarterback in NFL history. He has 16 now, along with Montana. Of course, Brady has the most at 35. And there have been 280 turnovers in the NFL since Week 12. The Chiefs are responsible for none of them.
Well, I
no
think that's why they
turnovers by
win.
Kansas City.
I honestly think that's why they win, because they don't make mistakes. They don't turn the ball over, and they don't fumble. They don't throw picks, and they have the refs in their pockets. So with that combination, how can you lose? Teams that make mistakes in the fourth quarter, like the Ravens did last night in Buffalo with the Andrews fumble and the drop on the 2-point conversion, they lose games. Teams that never turn the ball over and have all the calls, they win every time. That's why they win.
And that is also why the Bills have gotten back to this spot as we look at this matchup. The Bills made no mistakes yesterday, which is why they won the football game. No turnovers. I believe only 2 accepted penalties, and one of them was a phantom penalty that Deion Dawkins hold.
Right.
But that is why the Bills made no mistakes in the game. So you got 2 teams that have been very good.
That was a horrible
at not
hold.
making pathetic, and that ruined a drive. They were going. They were getting points on that drive, and that pushed them back.
Ball. And then they did nothing about it. They just let it rest. They just let it. They make bad calls and don't change them. That's what's wrong with the NFL. When you know you've made a mistake, flip the call, pick up the flag, but they never do because they're never effing wrong. That's what the joke is here. The joke's on us because they just keep making crappy calls, and then you have to live with it. I mean, they are embarrassing. It's between them and the baseball umps. I mean, how about these umps in baseball? They don't know a ball from a strike. I mean, they'll call a strike on a pitch a foot off the plate.
Awful. Absolutely awful. So that sets us up for this week. We, of course, will be doing this all week long, getting ready for these two games on the AFC side. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, their fourth time, meeting in the playoffs. -1.5 for the Chiefs here on Monday with a 47.5 total.
Well, I don't have anything to say at this point other than I'm surprised that it's only 1.5, considering they go to the Super Bowl every year and they're playing at Arrowhead. I thought it'd be at least 2.5, 3. They're automatic at Arrowhead, and they get every call. So you'd think that the Bills would be getting some juice here, but of course, no. And the reason it's no is because the Bills are going to beat them.
Correct. You know me. I am usually very pessimistic. I usually am I'm nervous. I don't want to. I'm not this week. I think they're going to beat them. I think that they have never been more equipped to finally beat them. I think it's taken all of those losses, all their wins against them in the regular season. They've taken all this information over the last 4 years and have waited for this moment. And they're going to get it finally on Sunday. And everyone's going to be rooting for the Bills because they don't want to see it again, just like you. I think a lot of, outside of Kansas City, I think a lot of people are like you. They can't do it again for another 2 weeks. Let's get a new story, a Buffalo story.
I'll tell you another thing I don't want to see at all is Philadelphia, Kansas City. I just saw that 3 years ago.
No. Let's get how about Buffalo, Washington, back for the first time since the year that Thurman lost the helmet in the Metrodome.
That's what's going to happen.
Let's hope so. That'd be a fun game.
Well, I called
James Daniels and Josh
Philly,
Allen.
didn't I? Did I not? And did I not call? The Bills? You and I both. Fair enough. I think it's still. I think Washington's going to beat them.
Look, I would not go against Washington right now the way they're playing. They are hot, and they got it going right now on both sides of the football. So I would not want to get in front of that train. Let's talk about the NFC side now. Eagles beat the Rams yesterday 28-22. It was a hell of a game, as you mentioned earlier. You know, I said to you on Friday, you can't tell me this guy's going to rip off 2 long touchdown runs again like he did in the first game.
Happen.
Yeah,
and it did.
Unfortunately, it did. Here's the second one. Westwood One Sports, the Birdman.
22-yard line. That's where Philadelphia opens up. Handoff. It's Barkley running to the left. Barkley gets by everybody. Saquon Barkley is gone. Touchdown. On a snowy Sunday, Saquon Barkley has dominated for the Eagles.
I'll say this much. They're hard to beat at the Link. I mean, here they are in another title game. I think it's their 3rd title game since they built that stadium.
Yep, it is. And they are very tough to beat in that building. It's not going to be easy for Washington this coming Sunday. I will say, though, the biggest thing for us was give the Rams credit. Down the field for the cover at the end. They got us the cover after they went down a couple of scores. And you mentioned, not only did they get us the cover, I mean, they were knocking on the door to potentially win that game down at the end. And, man, that would have been great. I thought, look, I know that Stafford had some moments, but I thought he was very gutty in the game. I thought that they had that period from like early in the 3rd quarter to early in the 4th where the heavy snow came. And I think that's what did the Rams in. I think the Rams win the game. That kid's verse was unbelievable.
Than Micah Parsons.
I think he's Parsons. He backs it up. I know he was a little
further than Parsons ever has.
He certainly has. We'll come back and Going quickly play you Barkley and Jalen Hurts. By the way, Hurts took a beating in that game from the Rams. So I'm going to play it for you. He says he's going to be all right. I don't think he was moving too well at the end of that game. So we'll see. He's lying. I believe he's lying too.
Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because Scotty, he's not going to stop shooting.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, so what is Barkley saying after that game?
Yes, of course, first time Saquon Barkley will play in a title game. This is why I came to Philadelphia.
It feels amazing. Like I said, this is the reason why I came here. When me and my family went through the pros and cons and listed where we want to be, we felt like this would be the opportunity, the best opportunity to be able to play in games like this. It's the first I ever made it. The first I made it was divisional in New York, and got beat by Philly. And I'm just happy for the opportunity, happy to be here, and look forward to playing a championship game in Philly too.
There you go. So be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for, exactly. Here, of course, is Jalen Hurts. I was mentioning to you before the break, he took some shots in that game, specifically in the second half, where he did have to go to the blue tent. He came back, and he clearly was compromised. He says he's going to be fine for next week.
It's a tough game, a challenging game. I was able to finish the game and see how the week goes.
Your status uncertain for next week?
Great question. No, I was just seeing how the week would go, seeing how things progress.
So you think you feel confident you'll play next week, I guess?
Yeah.
He's playing.
What's it mean to be at this point in the season and playing for the right to go to the Super Bowl?
It means everything. This is what you work for. This is what all of our energy, all of my energy has been geared towards.
I mean, he's already been to the Super Bowl. He knows exactly what he's doing here and why he's here. And they're a tough franchise. They're good at football. They know how to win, and they win at home. And they have a red carpet literally rolled out to go to the Super Bowl. And it all opened up on Saturday night when the Lions lost. It gave them the home field in the NFC title game, and all they have to do is win, and they go back to the Super Bowl again for the second time in 3 years. Now, look, that's crazy. I mean, that's success right there. But what will be great is if the best laid plans are laid to rest and that Washington cuts their throats in their building in front of all their drunk fans. And Jaden Daniels is going to do it because he's better than Jalen Hurts.
Well, he has already done that Saturday night to the Detroit Lions. Commanders beat the Lions 45-31. It was a very rough night for Jared Goff. Not one, not two, but 3 interceptions, including one to the house on Fox.
Second and long. Goff, some pressure again, lets it fly high. It's intercepted, picked off by Quan Morton. Morton with some blocks, inside the 20, still going. Morton, pick 6.
There you go. 3 picks, and it didn't end there. I mean, what they have they had 4 turnovers, right, or something like that. 5.
Well, you had the one.
All of them.
You had the one where they had the fumble inside the 20 in the first quarter when they were going in. And then you had, when I still don't know, I mean, I know Ben Johnson's a genius, Jamison Williams throwing a trick play down the sideline that they picked off. That was an awful decision there. I guess Williams should have maybe just got rid of it.
That's 5
but it is what it is. Here is Dan Campbell. Always wears his heart on his sleeve. Very emotional.
When you lose these games, man,
You
it's
always
like the
have my
players. You know,
I love you. I love them. I care so much. Oh, God. Just give me a second.
what they put into it.
Oh, God. I love you.
A lot of people don't know. You know what they
you
go
never
through.
win. You never win.
You have to get up.
We all
Bodies
get up in the
beat
morning, Coach.
You know, mentally stay locked in and do those things. So, long season.
It's over. My fault.
It's my fault.
My
I
fault.
let everyone know.
It's my fault.
My fault. My fault.
And now,
My fault.
and now I've lost the guy that calls all the plays on offense to our rival, and I'm going to lose my D coordinator. But their defense sucked anyway when they lost all their players to injury, and overrated. Overrated. All I hear about all year is the Lions, and I mean right there, right on your face. I sat here Friday. I said they're going to lose outright to the Commanders. They're going to lose. When the game started, I'll never forget, Brady. How could you ever win in this building with this crowd like this? It's impossible.
Jared Goff said the performance will eat him alive all offseason.
Good.
God, I
Good.
hope so.
Good.
I hope it eats you alive. You were awful. I mean, you were pathetic.
Overrated.
Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So the second half kickoff here, very depressing around the Ferrall Palatial today, Carver High, as the young gun went back to San Diego State for the spring semester to begin tomorrow, classes in earnest for the Aztecas. And 34C is bummed out. I'm bummed out. And then I could tell she was bummed out when she saw me only left standing in the house. There was no one else here. And she went,
yeah, that's it.
Oh, God. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, my God. What can be? It is the worst feeling in the world. I want to prepare you for that day. And when they're home for a month and then they leave, or even when they leave at the beginning of the year, it's when they leave and you're left standing there with your wife and you're old. I mean, it is the worst feeling in the world. I mean, to tell you, it is awful. Like, I'm even a wreck. I was like, God, this sucks. It really does. Anyway, let's carry on so I don't start crying like Dan Campbell did.
I did want to.
The season's over.
I know, the season's over. What a shame. I did, because there is stuff going on, quick update. Knicks are down 8 at the half at home to the Hawks, 62-54. Grizzlies down 5 at home. They just started the fourth, 76-71. Down three. How about that? And the Cavs are up 11 on the Suns in Cleveland. So that's your NBA that's going on. Wild are up 1-0 on the Avalanche. Kraken lead the Sabres 2-1. And the Bruins rallied in the third period, Scotty. They beat the Sharks 6-3. They were down 3-2 going into the third. So the Bruins with the rally cap get it going. All right, other side of that game on Saturday night, the Washington Commanders heading back to the NFC Championship game, first time since '92. Here is head coach Dan Quinn. Of course, his first year as the head coach. Jaden Daniels, a rookie. How about him? Dan Quinn knew he was built for this.
He just has a different poise about him than most, and he's a rare competitor. There's no doubt about that. But in those moments, if he was a basketball player, he'd want the last shot. As a ball player, he wants the ball in his hands to make the difference, and he makes great decisions with the football. And that takes real mindfulness. Sometimes the best play may be, hey, I got to throw this away. He uses his legs. But he is a rare competitor for us. But his poise in these tight moments really stands out to us.
Mike, I think he's the best rookie I've ever seen. And not only that, I think he's the best Heisman winner I've ever seen in the NFL. I mean, literally, like, who's better than him? Like, this guy has gone off. He has won so many games in the last 10 seconds or overtime, and then he absolutely has shredded his opponents in the playoffs. He's embarrassed them. He has destroyed them. And I think he's better than Jalen Hurts, too. I mean, he's on an entirely different level. Jalen Hurts, to me, is here. He's like on the 12th floor. You know, they don't have the 13th floor at the hotel because Jaden Daniels is on a penthouse floor having a party and everybody's naked. Strippers. I mean, he got it all going, my man up here at the party at the Gucci. He's at the Gucci level. I think he's an absolute stud.
And he's, how about this? 14 wins in his rookie season. Ties Big Ben for the most all time. Most wins in your rookie season. 14 wins
now, I'll
for
give
Jaden Daniels.
Big Ben has 2 rings, okay?
Yes.
So he needs to win a ring before I start crowning him. But you can say whatever you want about Ben Roethlisberger, because I've heard, they'll never let him coach on the Steelers. They don't like him, this and that. He got him 2 rings. Roethlisberger was a great quarterback. Any way you slice it. How many 500-yard games did he have in his career? The guy was a badass, and he never went down. Like he was like a tree. Like there'd be guys hanging on his legs and arms, and he'd still get passes off. I think Jaden Daniels is a skinny, unstoppable mother Ferreller. He's fast as lightning, and he's got a killer sense for throwing the ball, clutch passing, guys throwing ropes to guys on 3rd and 4th down. He's a stud.
He is a stud. There is some bad news for Washington going into this week. Right guard Sam Cosmi tears his ACL. Done for the playoffs. That Washington offensive line has been so good. They're going to be missing one piece there. With Washington making the title game, every NFC team has played in the title game since '96, except the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone's had to get crack in the title game except for them. So this will be the first game on Sunday, the 3 o'clock East game in Philadelphia. You will get round 3 for the football team now known as, but won't always be known as, the Commanders against the Eagles at the Link. Remember earlier this year, Eagles beat them in Philly. That was a Thursday night game, 26-18. And then Washington beat them at home in that wild game in December, 36-33, that wild comeback that they had. So this will be for a chance to the Super Bowl. -5.5 for Philly right now, 47.5 the total.
I mean, over and Washington for me. Let's just start the week off with a bang.
Started off with a bang. And that's, I believe, judging by listening to you over the last 90 minutes, that sounds like not just Washington with the points. You think Washington's going to win the game. Money line for Washington this coming Sunday.
Super Bowl. They're going to the Super Bowl.
Look, very, very possible. Very, very possible indeed. As far as odds to win the whole thing now, with 4 teams left. So this is it. I mean, this is what it comes down to. The Eagles, +180 are the favorites. Chiefs, Bills, +750 for Washington with 4 teams left.
I'll take that 750. Not only do I think right now, like, what do I have to lose here? I honestly, I don't care what anyone thinks. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Look,
they're going to beat whoever they play. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
You know I love stuff like this. If you think they're going to win on Sunday, I would play that +750 and have that as your placeholder for then a big ticket in the Super Bowl with whoever they play. I've already seen some early lines. Obviously, they'd be, I think it's 4.5 to the Bills and maybe 5.5, 6.5 to the Chiefs, whoever they play in the Super Bowl. So they're going to be a dog one way or the other. But +750 is a pretty big number to have them at with 2 games to go. So we will, of course, look at that a lot.
They have absolutely kicked everyone's ass. Like, they're not just winning, they're destroying people.
Yeah, that was super impressive on Saturday night at a place which, as Brady said at the beginning, how could anybody win here? Well,
Tampa played them better than the Lions. Tampa played them better.
Man, I can't believe the Lions crashing out the way that they did. Man, that is just unbelievable. It really is.
It was so funny. I enjoyed every minute of it.
I gave you.
These guys were. You know how? You know, there's a million people in every state that work their ass off and bust their ass every day in their jobs. Whether they're working at the post office or at Amazon, whether they're working in a bar, whether they're waiting tables, whether they're driving an Uber. People bust their ass every day to make a living, not just some football team. You don't know how hard we work. You don't know how hard we work, bro.
Yeah, what a shame to see him going on. What a shame that was going to be that they're not in the mix. Hey, now you got one team left that's never won it, and that's my team. So hopefully they can be the team that gets it done now out of these 4 teams that are left.
Washington, like the old days.
Let's hope so. It's been just over 30 years since we saw that Super Bowl matchup back at the old Metrodome where Thurman Thomas lost his helmet. So hopefully we get that again. All right, couple other notes, and then we'll get into the NBA after that when we come back.
Buffalo, Washington.
Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Here we go again. I just can't get the Steelers out of my bowels.
Yeah, I know you want it. We had to slide one Steeler-related story in today. Why not? And I did see this as well over the weekend. I guess the Bears called the Steelers about trading for Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
And the Steelers said, get lost. You got to be kidding me. No thanks. And apparently somebody else did too. There was allegedly two teams.
They're not firing him ever, the Rooneys. I really, I just don't see it. I think that, my guess is, I'm going to say it right now, like, he could go, I literally, and I know this sounds crazy, I think he might coach there for 25 years and then retire. Literally, because he's already at 19. So he's going to go 20. He'll be 19 next year, 20 the year after, and then why not 5 more? Because he's still young. And I think in 5 more, he'll be old news in the NFL, and it'll be over. He'll be, at the end, like Shula and Noel and all of them, Bud Grant, all of them, Marv Levy at the end. Now, people don't want to admit this, but it is the end for Pete Carroll. You notice how he keeps trying to get a job? Bro, you are done. It's over. You're old. It's over. Washed, done, cooked. It's done. At one point, they just get so old, they just don't want to. You know what Pete Carroll reminds me of? A boxer that just won't stop fighting. Like, bro, when are you going to realize you're a grandpa? He's like 73 years old. Like, dude, you're so old. Honestly, it's over. Like, I'm 59 years old and I can barely walk after I play basketball. And I tell people I'm old and washed and I'm still playing. When you're 73, you are cooked like a bird.
Cooked like a bird,
right.
Indeed. Yes, too old. Pete Carroll's not getting a job. I can tell you that. I'm with you. Nobody's hiring Pete Carroll. A few other coaching things. We already told you about Ben Johnson, and allegedly he's already got lined up to be his defensive coordinator. Because remember, he's an offensive guy, needs to have a good defensive coordinator there. Right. Dennis Allen, who of course was the Saints head coach, who was a very good defensive coordinator, just a really bad head coach. He is allegedly lining him up to be his DC in Chicago. I think that's a very smart hire.
Okay.
Smart hire.
And I don't because I think he's so awful as a coach that it's going to bleed right into Chicago. Like, he was so awful that, like, he was so good as a defensive coordinator that he ruined that by being a head coach. So, like, he jinxed himself because he was so awful. Like, I don't believe he's a good coach at all anymore. I don't want nothing to do with that guy. He's bad luck. He's like a bad meal at a bad restaurant.
The other defensive coordinator that's been out on the market, Lou Anarumo, who the Bengals sent packing, he's going to be hired by the Colts. So the Colts get Lou. McCarthy was in the mix.
I think he's
a good
defensive coordinator.
Very good. That was not his fault in Cincinnati. We know that Mike McCarthy was tied to the Bears. That's obviously not going to happen now. The Saints are going to have an in-person interview with McCarthy this week, and the Jets will have Aaron Glenn in the building on Wednesday to try to they'll have a second interview with him.
It sounds more and more to me, Mike, like Mike McCarthy's going to be left without a job.
Yeah, I would say that's very possible because outside of the Bears and the Saints, you didn't hear his name anywhere else in the process. And I'll tell you what else has been very quiet.
He can't fix the Raiders either.
I haven't heard anyone with the Cowboys, right? Since that whole Dion charade last week, there has been nothing, just zero being said about that Cowboy job. That tells me maybe there's more to that Dion stuff than was let on last week. That maybe that is being worked on behind the scenes.
He'll rue the day that he hires Kellen Moore. You know what Kellen Moore is?
Yeah,
he's Garrett without red hair.
The Cowboys have completed 3 interviews only. Kellen Moore, Robert Saleh, and Leslie Frazier.
I mean
Leslie Frazier. Please.
Honestly.
That's just as bad as it gets. And the Falcons hired Jets interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich as their DC. So I guess Ulbrich really wasn't getting a
guy because he was atrocious. And he got a job as a DC. And I thought to myself, I went, wow, that's not bad. He's probably making great money in Atlanta as the DC. You're the defensive coordinator. That's like you got the head coach, the OC, and the DC. They make the most money. So he ends up with a high-paying, highfalutin job in Atlanta after he did such a shaky job in New York with the Jets. He was pathetic. I mean, let's get real here for a minute. He did absolutely nothing with the Jets. I mean, it was an abortion.
He did it. He did it pretty bad. He did it pretty bad. They were worse.
It was awful.
They were worse. They were better off just keeping Saleh. They got worse when they fired Saleh, and they let him be the interim head coach. So they did a bad job all the way around. I'm interested to see where the Raiders go now, honestly, because I think they thought they had
How about they go to
Ben
hell?
Johnson
How's that sound?
all lined up.
Go to hell.
And,
how does that sound?
You know, maybe they'll hire Pete Carroll. They do a lot of stupid stuff out there in Vegas. Maybe they'll hire Pete Carroll.
Oh, my God.
Give Pete the job. Let's get Pete a job. Come on. We need him back out there, clapping it up on the side.
No.
I'll tell you who should get a job, and he's not going to. The job, your boy Kingsbury is going to get another gig. Maybe not this year, but next year. With the job he's done with Daniels in Washington, he's going to get another job
I would
at some
hire him
point.
in a minute with the Raiders over all the hacks you just talked about. And I don't think that Pete Carroll's a hack. I think he's a Grandpa Jones. It's over.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, it's bad enough. Let's just get real here. It's bad enough that North Carolina hired a 72-year-old Bill Belichick to coach a bunch of kids that are 18 to 22 years old. Honestly, like, thanks, Grandpa. Can I, what more can you do to help me with my girlfriend and she's pregnant and I still got to go to class? I mean, like, honestly, what's happening here?
We will come back and get into the NBA. Knicks have rallied. They're up 1 on the Hawks at the Garden. The Knicks have rallied. We'll give you all the
I got to
NBA
turn the Knicks on. I get him on Fios.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
I'm watching this Josh Hart guy for the Knicks. He is such a dog. I mean, this guy, he just battles and bangs. Do you know he's like a rebounding leader in the NBA? Like this guy, he is just absolutely phenomenal for the Knicks on the glass. They lost Hartenstein, who was their rebounding god, and then there was Hart behind him. Hart took over right where Hartenstein left off when he went to Oak City. This guy Hart, he just had a fast break. Passed it to McBride. Deuce missed the layup. It was kind of blocked. And guess who got the rebound? Hart. Who put it back in the bucket? Hart. An offensive rebound, put back bucket. He is a savage, this guy. By the way, they're winning by 1 now. It's 84-83. The game at the Garden is great between the Hawks and the Knicks.
Certainly is. A good one going out there on the MLK Day matinee. A few things from last night. Heat beat the Spurs in Miami. I know you know, we talked about this Friday. Butler was back Friday night, Sunday. He didn't play. He played pretty good Friday night. He didn't do much yesterday in that game, but he's back in the mix. Nuggets beat the Magic. Bucks beat the Sixers. Thunder crushed the Nets. Clippers beat the Lakers as well last night. How about LeBron since turning 40? 24.9 points per game, 8.1 dimes, 6.3 boards, 59% from the floor, 55% from three.
I mean, think about
Not
that,
bad
Mike.
for 40.
I mean, I just
it's pretty good.
Just absorb that for a second, would you? He's 40 years old, 25 a game, 8 dimes a game, 6 boards a game, 59% from the floor, and 55% from three, and he's 40 years old. Think about that just for a second. That is absolutely phenomenal. Those numbers are surreal. Those are video game numbers. That is crazy. He's 40 years old, and he's torching people.
Torching him. He has been unbelievable, LeBron. Portland beat the Bulls 113-102. The Bulls have lost 5 in a row and 6 out of 7. I don't know why they haven't gotten rid of your buddy yet. And their 5 in a row is to Portland and Charlotte and Atlanta, who played nobody that night. They've been losing to awful teams every single night. And the Kings beat the Wizards by 23. DiVincenzo out indefinitely for the T-Wolves with a toe injury. Spurs rookie Stephon Castle will be in the dunk contest during All-Star weekend. Nobody likes the dunk contest anymore. I
think that the Bulls are losing because they plan on trying to get a high percentage of ping pong balls in the lottery because they want to get their hands on Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey. Let's just face facts.
Meanwhile, speaking of the Grizzlies, they have surged out to now a 2-point lead over the Timberwolves. They have come back under 3 minutes to go in the fourth, 102-100 Memphis. Knicks are up 5 now, and the Cavs are hammering the Suns. They're up 19. Celtics and the Warriors coming up in a few minutes out at the Chase. That's on TNT right after the Grizzly game. Minus 8.5 for the Celtics. 224.5 is the total.
I'm sorry. I still got to go Celtics here. They're just so much better than the Dubs. It's not even funny. You know, if Curry has 33 points, they got a shot to cover and I guess win. But in my view, the Celtics should still be able to handle the Dubs. They're on a different level altogether. It's the same thing as the Cavaliers. I mean, did I not tell you today that the Suns are going in there going to get their ass beat by a team that's just flat out better than them? This is the same thing. The Celtics are flat out better than the Warriors. That whole Warriors, Draymond Green, Steph Curry act, like we don't sell we're not going to sell the team for the future, to win now. We don't do that here. We know how to win here. We know what we're doing here. I'll tell you what they don't know right now is how bad they're average. They're very average. Mm-hmm. They're not a good team, and they're playing a really good team. Now, I know the Celtics have struggled a little bit of late, but they didn't struggle on Sunday, did they? When they smoked. I mean, if they want to play, they can beat anyone and destroy them.
They certainly can. Next, Jazz and the Pelicans in New Orleans tonight. Pelicans minus 10.5, 229.5. Jazz are still missing tons of guys, Markkanen, Sexton, etc. No Zion for the Pelicans tonight.
I know the numbers look like, they're the same teams. They have the same record and everything else. But the Pelicans have been playing really good basketball over the last 2.5 weeks. They're going to kick the Jazz's ass tonight at the Smoothie and cover that number.
And I'll get one more. I'll slide it in when we come back. Clippers and Bulls. Clippers, no Kawhi.
Please.
But the Bulls.
Please. They're going to win by 16. That game's over already.
Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.